94.3. This is Drive Mumbai with Erica.
Next up, it's travel stories this evening from Anuradha Goyal from IndieTales.com. She's a social media influencer, she's an innovator, she's an award-winning travel blogger, and much more. Listen in. I'm going to hand it over to you to give us some ideas as to where we can go. Clearly, we have to keep it local. We have to keep it, as, short trips as much as possible. Maybe places in and around Mumbai city or in its neighboring areas.
So I would say, in terms of a trend, we're going to be focused more or less completely on domestic travel. International travel, at least leisure travel, may not happen in this year. And even if it's allowed in terms of flights being open, immigration being open, there will be a fear that we'll carry that just in case there is another wave, we may get stuck out there. We may not have any support to be there. And I think this is the opportunity India's domestic tourism has to showcase its own people, the diversity, the richness it has. Second trend would be we will look at more of rural tourism, hinterland tourism, because we would want to avoid crowds. We would do slow travel. We would not want to pack 4 places in a day. We would want to be in a place and see 4 things right there. We will probably spend a lot more time with family and friends. I see a trend where instead of staying in a hotel, you may want to stay with a friend or a family, or a homestay kind of thing. So these are some of the trends, and if I extrapolate this, then it would come to doing something like driving holidays. So you don't have to take a public transportation system. You just pack everything in your car and you drive. Or you fly to a destination and then hire a car, and then you sanitize and hire a car and go on a driving holidays. So I think driving holidays is going to be a big trend.
I hope you enjoyed that. You can get in touch with Anuradha directly. Check out her blog, IndieTales.com. Also follow her podcast, Detours with Anuradha Goyal. This is 94.3 Radio 1.
94.3. This is Drive Mumbai with Erica.
Let's enjoy some travel stories next with Anuradha Goyal from IndieTales.com. She's a social media influencer, she's an innovator, an author, speaker, and an award-winning travel blogger, and she's got lots to share. Listen in. Slow travel. It's what I love to do. I tend to spend a lot more time at the one destination and make sure that I see it thoroughly and I really get a good grasp of the place. I mingle with the locals, as opposed to, doing like what you said, in the same amount of time, going to like 4 different cities and trying to cram it all in, and then everything is a blur and you don't even know what you've sort of just been there and done.
The best part of slow travel is the magic that happens. So you just wander around in a place and the place will slowly open up to you and show you its magic. You have to allow that time to the destination to show you its magic.
I love that, and I have to agree there. Okay, so let's give us some examples of where we can go in and around, say, Mumbai city, and its neighboring areas.
So I think one of the favorite destinations for all Mumbaikars is Goa, of course. People just drive down to Goa. So I would say take a coastal road, stop at places like Ratnagiri. It's a beautiful city with cliffs and small forts on top of the cliff. And the whole of this belt has a lot of old forts which are on the coast. So Ratnagiri has one. If you come down a little bit from there, there is Ganpati Phule, which also has a beautiful beach. Then you come down a little bit, you have this mighty fort called Sindhu Durg, which is a fort built in the sea. So for me, apart from its historical relevance, it is also an engineering marvel. How did they build 400 years ago? How did they build that fort with fresh water inside it? So they have freshwater wells inside the sea. So that is one of my recommendations. And then you come down, you go to this place called Kavantwadi, where you have beautiful Amboli Falls. And this place has lovely wooden toys, It was a small kingdom pre-independence, and the royal family still patronizes the artists. So in the royal palace, you can go and see ganji fakas being made, lovely little boxes being made, hand-painted boxes being made. And of course, in the markets, you can pick a lot of not so costly versions of the same there. And then you, of course, come to Goa, and you know what to do in Goa. Apart from beaches, there's a lot of heritage that you can explore, a lot of waterfalls that you can explore. But you go down from Goa, go down to Karwar, Murudeshwar, Gokarna, Udupi. So this whole stretch is a great driving. Depending on the amount of time and budget you have, you can pick up a piece of this Ratnagiri to Udupi, and that's a great drive to have. And all these places have a reasonably good infrastructure for you to stay.
This is Drive Mumbai with Erica.
Well, it's travel stories next with Anuradha Goyal from IndieTales.com. She's an award-winning travel blogger and innovation consultant and much more. Listen in. Okay, moving on to forests. I noticed that you talk a lot about, our forests in India being what it is. It's rich in its tropical heritage. Can you give us a couple of picks, maybe 2 or 3 picks of must-visit forests with especially family visits, with kids?
Yes. So the top of mind are the jungles of central India, which is Madhya Pradesh primarily. So Bandhavgarh, Kanha and Pench. These are the 3 national parks, and this is where you have the maximum probability of spotting a tiger. I have seen families of tiger in Pench. I have been face to face with the alpha male in Kanha National Park.
Wow.
Yeah, but I would say when you go to the forest, just don't look for tigers. A forest comprises, it's an ecosystem in itself. So look for trees, look for butterflies, look for insects, look for spiders, spider webs. You will see these 2 trees bound together with a huge spider web, and the spider hanging in between, weaving then you have these tunnel spiders where they form a tunnel with their web. So there's a whole ecosystem of things that you can see in the forest if you allow it to show. So spend a lot of time in the central Indian forests. And they all have a river, so spend some time by the river, because you see animals like single-horned rhinos, huge animals swimming.
Right.
Second, I recommend, Odisha has this little forest called Bhitarkanika National Park. It's on the east coast, and it has a speciality that it is one of the few places that has saltwater crocodiles. Seriously huge crocodiles, and it's amazing to see them just lying in bunches, lazing around, sunbathing on the sandbanks of the backwaters.
Amazing.
Then in Odisha itself, you have Mangala Jodi, where it's like wetlands on the banks of Chilka Lake, and you get millions of birds. So you have to take these narrow boats, and these narrow boats take you inside, and you see thousands and thousands of birds all around.
Wow.
So if anybody who likes birding, that's a great place to go. Of course, Bharatpur near Mathura in Rajasthan is great for birding. We have so many forests that you can go literally anywhere. Karnataka has a lot of forests. They have jungle lodges everywhere. Western Ghats are great for biodiversity.
I hope you enjoyed those travel stories. More to come, of course. Anuradha Goyal from IndieTales.com. You can check out a podcast, Detours with Anuradha Goyal. This is Drive Mumbai, and you're with me, Erica.
This is Drive Mumbai with Erica.
Okay, next up, it's time for some travel stories with Anuradha Goyal from IndieTales.com. This award-winning travel blogger has so much to share. Listen in. We're going to move on to off-season travel, which will obviously come up later in the year, maybe during the rains. And so, people always looking for budget deals, where one can go to, especially in India.
So, Erica, no matter what time of the year, some place would be off-season given the diversity and landscape of this country.
Right.
For example, we are in January right now, and if I tell you to go to Leh and Ladakh, you will not go because it's off-season.
Yeah.
And
a little bit cold.
Not a little bit, it's just minus 26, 27. That's it. So at any point in time, there are some destinations which are off season, and you can choose. It needs a little bit of planning because you have to mentally prepare yourself. Weather conditions are probably not the best, but the deals you get is definitely the best, and the destination you get is very, very different. Very, very different. When you go to Leh in January, you see half frozen rivers or completely frozen rivers, frozen waterfalls, something that you can't witness during the summers. Similarly, when you come to Goa during monsoons, when it's technically off season, you get to see a very different Goa. You don't get to go to the beaches, but you get to see a very different Goa. So at any point in time, there are destinations which are off season, and I think this year, off seasons will have a great season.
Yeah, I think so. I hope you enjoyed that. You can get more from Anuradha. Check out her podcast, Detours with Anuradha Goyal. This is Drive Mumbai, and you're with me, Erica.